A great philosopher once said, "The allegations that I once participated in sports gambling are false. My previous Venmo descriptions did not accurately portray the transactions in question, but were instead inside jokes between me and my friends. I have never bet on sports. I understand the seriousness of the matter, but recognize that, taken out of context, those Venmo descriptions suggest otherwise. I can assure my teammates, coaches, and officials of the NCAA that I have not engaged in any sports gambling."
Inspiring.
Hey, welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. Of course, we're coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by Chicken Little. We've got Erik Ruby. We've got the Deli Man behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Lee Corso in the chat. What's up, boys? Guys, make sure you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. 18 days till Arizona State kicks off the 2025 college football season at Mountain America Stadium against NAU, but that is not the discussion today. Rubis, kind of off the heels of what we discussed at the tail end of yesterday's show. We're talking potential things that could hold the Devils back.
Yeah, did you get my Venmo?
I didn't actually. No, I didn't.
For
get
insider
your Venmo.
trading.
No, I didn't get the Venmo.
Oh man,
one hell of a statement, though.
I mean, honestly, such a funny statement. Comments under the statement also funny.
Are we buying it?
Oh, dude, he's so gambled on that game.
You think?
He's so gambled on
First off,
wasn't that before he was in college?
Why are we gambling on? No, if it was
USC,
before
UCLA.
college, then it wouldn't matter. Why are we
when did
gambling on UCLA, USC football in 2024? Who's gambling on those schools?
Was it a banger? Do we know what the game was like?
Probably trash.
Oh wait, we can probably find out. I want to see how many seasons so he was playing in 2022. So yeah, he was. Yeah, John.
Was this not from last year?
Venmo. No, it was like 2023. Sorry, we should. This is not.
This is if it's 2023, it would be November 18th, 2023.
November 20th, 2022.
Okay.
November 20th, 2022. In 2022, he completed 2 passes off 2 attempts for 32 yards.
So he didn't really play.
No, but he was an NCAA athlete.
That USC game, I remember it actually. It was Caleb Williams versus DTR, and the final score was 48-45. Banger game to bet on.
Banger of a game.
Banger game to bet on.
Probably bet on that game.
I did because Jake Bobo was playing in it.
Sharon says, "Who dug this up?" Texas fans. Shocking, right? Shocking.
And then they were telling Arch to hide his Venmo.
Yeah, Arch Manning apparently got Venmo'd an 8-ball, like the
the emoji.
Yeah. So. Anyway, what is holding Arizona State
Hide your
back?
Venmo, Sam. Hide your Venmo.
I'm not worried about that. Okay, this is a conversation that I posed to you earlier this week. A
couple different times. Eric,
this is classic hall monitor.
This is
classic
Chicken Little, hall monitor, all things. Sky is falling before the season has even begun.
And that's kind of the disclaimer that I want to put out there, right? Is that all of the conversations we have today, like, listen, a majority of the time when we're talking about this stuff, in Arizona State football in general, it's overtly positive. Correct. And I think it's completely earned and deserved. And what we feel is true. It's not lip service.
Yeah,
right?
I'd say
it's not like us being like, oh, we host PHNX Sun Devils. Let's glaze the Sun Devils.
Yeah. Well, okay.
No, we don't do that. We trust me.
I certainly don't sit up here, and that's not what's in my mind when we get started. But I'm glad to see where your head's at.
Well, no, and that's what I'm saying. It's like watch a basketball postgame show, right? Like we tell you what's real.
Don't put yourself through that. Don't do it.
I was looking through some of our old shows for something that we were doing, and it was like, I think I told you this. It was like, Arizona State's tournament hopes still alive. And then the next 3 post games are like, Arizona State demoralized by TCU. Arizona State
not even like a good team beat them.
40 points by JT Toppin and double over. It's just like, this is so funny. Anyways, all of the things that I'm going to present today is like conversations or things that could be concerned. Like, we have to acknowledge that it's not just like perfect, right? Every single year, there are teams that people think are going to be good. Something unexpected or something you don't think is going to happens, and it holds you back. Or there are teams that aren't as good as you expect, but are still good. And then, of course, there are teams that do the opposite, like what Arizona State did last year or whatever, right? So anything that I bring up today is not me saying, I think this is going to stop Arizona State from succeeding. My thought process was, if for some reason, which we don't believe, this team is to take a step back,
these would be the potential reasons why.
Why would that happen? Okay. Right. So that's kind of where my brain is at. And I want to get this done now so that for the next 2 weeks, we can do nothing but getting hype and positive and ready. I don't want to do this right before the NAU game, right? So you ready to walk with me a little bit?
I mean, I'll walk with you. Is chat ready to walk? I think chat, again, you should certainly throw in any ideas that you have, any potential reasons, again, as to why you think maybe Arizona State wouldn't reach its full potential in 2025. Again, not to say that we don't think that it will.
Well, and Glenn says, I don't like this subject, Erik. Look,
Glenn, I'm going to be honest, man. I didn't like the subject either.
Okay. Here's my counter to that. What this conversation could prove is that all of these things that are concerning, and again, I'm not saying these are things I believe. This is a thought experiment. We can completely disprove it and we could talk about it. Yeah. Right? The same thing, like I thought the conversation at the end of last show was good about the center and the offensive line. You might actually feel better about this by you can't ignore some of the problems.
I feel like this is going to be a healthy conversation of Erik as the hall monitor has issues that he wants to bring up, and it's up to the Deli Man, Chat, and Totri to try and talk him off the ledge.
Maybe this is PTSD.
Maybe this is just an early therapy session.
We can't have nice things back to back. Right. And again, I'm not saying that I believe that these things are going to stop.
Exactly,
Arizona
Seth.
State.
Knocking on wood on every category.
Okay. Look, the first thing, and Lee Corso brings this up, so I want to bring it up from the chat, says, what's holding ASU back? It's simple. Road games. Iowa State, Baylor, Utah. Those are the toughest road games this year. Mississippi State has a chance to be tough as well. I think that, and what we can start before we get to the team as a whole, is one thing that maybe stops Arizona State, not from being good, but from being as dominant as we think, is the Big 12 as a whole being better than it was last year.
Arguably. Right?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, let's talk it out. Yeah. Like, when we went through the schedule and we go through top to bottom at the Big 12, when you look, like, obviously last year was a running back conference.
Correct.
This year it's a quarterback conference, an objectively more important position, right? More talent level there as well. Do you feel like outside of Arizona State, the Big 12 got better over this past offseason?
I think it got better at quarterback. I think that you can make the arguments and go through each and every roster and be like, oh, this team got better here. They got slightly worse here. Every team you can point to got worse at a position and they got better at a position. There's not a team in the country that you could say improved all the way across the board and didn't get slightly worse. But I think specifically when you look at the Big 12, yes, I think the quarterbacks are more experienced and they have shown to be a little bit more talented going into this year than certainly the previous year, looking at some of the quarterbacks, right? You've got Sam Leavitt, you've got Avery Johnson, you've got Jalen Daniels, you got Rocco Beck, you got Sawyer Robertson, you got Josh Hoover. Noah Fafita's trying to have a bounce back year. Brendan Sorsby completely changed his body. You've got Baron Morton trying to throw away the narrative that he's not an elite level quarterback. Like, that's just, you got Devin Dampier, right? Trying to do some things. Right off the rip there, that's 10 quarterbacks that are either that we feel are really talented or are looking to have bounce back seasons. That's 10 of 16 teams right there. I think you can go back to the Big 12 last year and you could probably count and be like, yeah, there's probably 4 or 5 guys at the quarterback position that you're like, okay, these guys can win you a conference championship.
Yeah. Let's just go really quick. I want you to give me a rapid fire answer, just better or worse. We're going to go in alphabetical order, all the Big 12 teams. Okay. Better or worse from last year? As a team from last year.
Okay.
Arizona.
Better.
Arizona State.
Can I say even?
Sure. Baylor.
Better.
BYU.
Worse.
Okay, that's one worse. UCF.
Worse.
Cincinnati.
Better.
Colorado.
Worse.
Houston.
Better.
Iowa State.
Worse.
Kansas.
Even.
Kansas State.
Better.
Oklahoma State.
Worse.
They didn't win a game in conference last year.
They got worse.
Okay, so worse. TCU.
Better.
Texas Tech.
Even.
Utah.
Better.
West Virginia.
Worse.
Okay. 6 teams we say got worse, including Iowa State, who's still going to be a top team in this conference, right? And that includes like Oklahoma State, who was already bad, right? West Virginia, who was already not good.
Yeah, you could argue
right?
Oklahoma
UCF,
State, West Virginia, even.
UCF, already bad, right? Like, what I'm saying is, as a whole, I think the overall play slightly elevated, right? To a level that is concerning, no. But again, something to talk about week in, week out as far as like, is this team going to be a top 10 most dominant? The teams that they're playing, the schedule they're playing is going to be a little bit tougher. Okay, so let's start just from team-specific stuff. Let's start on the offense. Okay. And again, this isn't fun, but we need to do this.
No, yeah. I mean, Will's bringing up struggles in the trenches as an option.
And
Sun Devil 1 says
trust
complacency. It's ASU's to lose.
When we're going to get to the trenches for sure. I think when you talk about a quarterback conference and when you talk about this team, the first thing that you will always bring up besides Kenny Dillingham is who?
Sam Leavitt.
It's Sam Leavitt. Now, I believe in Sam Leavitt as a quarterback. That being said,
just getting that out there.
Sam Leavitt did not have a perfect season last year. He had one hell of a season last year. One of the biggest things that could stop Arizona State from reaching its potential this year is if Sam Leavitt does not make what we consider to be like that Heisman contention leap.
Yeah.
Not winning the Heisman, but be widely considered one of the best quarterbacks in the country and the best quarterback in the Big 12. If that does not happen, Arizona State's offense is going to look a lot different. I'm not saying that's what I think will happen, but if you're talking about biggest hurdles to overcome, Sam Leavitt not taking a step has to be at the top of the list.
Yeah, I think there is going to be, and that's a natural progression, right? And I think that's when we talk about the conference as a whole, not to get too far away from the Arizona State part of the conversation, is we acknowledge that the Big 12 was a really deep, talented conference last year because of the running back specifically that you had. I think part of the reason why so many people feel like the Big 12 is going to take a step up this year, naturally, like you said earlier, is because it feels like each and every one of these teams, or at least a good chunk of them, got better at the quarterback position, which in theory feels like, okay, all of their ceilings are now raised, right? Because a running back, we saw it last year, running back can only take you so far.
RJ Harvey.
So everybody feels like, in this conference, or at least most of the teams feel like they've got their guy at quarterback.
Right.
And I think we haven't necessarily discussed it of like, oh, what if Sam doesn't get to this point?
Like,
but
what if he's not a top 3 quarterback in the Big 12?
It's similar to all our conversations about some of the other teams in this conference, about a Kansas State, where it's like, okay, we see it. We see that this team can be the number 17 team to start the year. There are a lot of folks that think they're going to make a jump to maybe be early teens or even top 10. Same thing with like a Texas Tech, right? Where a lot is going to be falling on Morton returning this year at Tech. And it's like, okay, well, what if that doesn't happen? Well, then they're probably still in the top 25, but not necessarily in the conversation for college football playoff.
Borderline top 25 team. If Sawyer Robertson isn't as good as people expect him to be, Baylor's a completely different team.
Now, if Sam doesn't take a jump here, which again, I don't think either one of us think that Sam is not going to take that jump, but I think there are two sides of this coin here. Either Sam doesn't take the jump and he stays the way he was last year, which you look at the last 8-9 games of the season, still good enough to win you a Big 12 championship, still good enough to take you to the CFP.
Still one of the best quarterbacks in the conference.
Absolutely. But how far does that take you this year, given the fact that, like we just said, all of these other teams seemingly elevated at the quarterback position?
Right.
That's one side of the argument. I think even if he doesn't become a Heisman level quarterback, Arizona State is still a dominant competitive team in this conference. A conference winning team, I think they're going to have to fight a little bit harder, right? Because you don't have a Cam Skattebo on this year's team. The other side of the coin is, does Sam Leavitt take a step back? Right. And if he takes a step back, then I think that is a part of the conversation where it's like, okay, we have to tear it all down and kind of see what this program and this team look like in 2025, and why was Sam able to succeed so much last year, and maybe what specifically could hold him back from taking that step in 2025.
Yeah, and you wonder, like, you know, and we can maybe naturally parlay this, sorry, John Mateer, into talking about the center play and the offensive line, to where does having a different person under center than the always sturdy Leaf Fontano and somebody who either has never played center at a collegiate level or played college football in Helton, or in somebody who's never played center in college football, but is very good and very experienced in Ben Coleman, right? And so with Sam Leavitt, and there's another thing we'll talk about with supplemental weapons and whatnot here in a second, like, I don't see a step back for Sam Leavitt.
No.
I just don't see it. But is a leap guaranteed? I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, but when you see about how hard he works, the coaching staff that he has, the weapons that he has, hopefully the offensive line figures out what they need to figure out right now. But I think even as a baseline, there's a lot of depth and talent on that line, even if at one position there's some question marks. So I think overall, like, I'm not worried about that specifically, but if we're going into halfway through the season and the top 3 quarterbacks in the conference are Avery Johnson, Rocco Becht, and Sawyer Robertson, like, Arizona State's not the best team in the conference. And if they are, you're getting superhuman performances from this defense and other players stepping up, which, again, might happen. But Sam elevates the ceiling of this team. Let's talk about the center play. This is what I mentioned to you. I'm going to ask you every single time that you go to practice. We're going to keep eyes on it every single week. Who is snapping the ball to Sam Leavitt? And are they comfortable and in control of that spot, either a new position for them or at a new level of play for them between Helton and Coleman? Is this and you can see my list of the things I'm going to ask you about. Is this maybe the thing that, as far as the non-hall monitor goes from you, that you might be the most not worried as in like you think it's going to ruin this team, but the thing that you're like, okay, out of all the things we're talking about today, that might be the most realistic thing that will hold this team back?
I think probably. I think when you try and poke holes in this ship that is Arizona State, like, there aren't a lot of them that you can really have like a legitimate conversation and argument about, right? Even in the conversation of like, oh, does Sam take a step back or does he not elevate it, right? Quickly, it's like, well, the team as a whole got deeper. He's got more talent at tight end. He's got more talent at wide receiver. In theory, he's got a deeper room at running back. He's returning his offensive line. He's another year into this system. He's coming off a very confident year. Mm-hmm. Like, it would be difficult for him to take that step back. It'd be difficult for him not to take a step forward.
Agreed.
Right? So when you talk about the whole Ben Coleman situation or the Wade Helton, like, I think there's legitimate argument there of like, okay, I can see a world where this is an issue, right? Because you bring up, okay, yes, Ben Coleman's an experienced offensive lineman in college football, but he hasn't played this position before. Now, he's played it all spring. He's played it the majority of fall camp up until yesterday, where we saw Wade Helton take those first team reps.
At the end of last season, I talked to Leaf up north at Camp T, and he said at the end of last season, they were working him in at center at installs, kind of preparing him to do that.
So, but there's still that possibility of, hey, we get to a game and the snaps aren't as clean as they need to be, right? We talked to Kenny at Camp T while you were talking to some of the players, and he was talking about like the snaps and how this affects the offense, right? And people immediately talk about the snapping situation and the cadence and all that type of stuff, and they're like, they just look for a fumble, right? If it's a fumble, then it was a bad snap. If it wasn't a fumble, well, then in theory it was fine, right? But it affects the timing of everything. If you got a slightly high snap or a slightly low snap, especially in an offense like Marcus Arroyo and Kenny Dillingham's, where so much of it is based off of timing and setting other plays up, then yeah, it's going to be a problem even if it's not a fumbled snap.
It's like basketball, like, and shocking, the basketball guy makes a basketball analogy. But if you talk to the best passers of all time, they don't just get you the ball. They get you the ball where you want it.
Yeah.
Right? And getting you in rhythm is going to lead to more assists, is going to lead to more made shots, right? The same thing with snapping a ball. It's not just about getting the quarterback to the ball to the quarterback. It's about getting it to the quarterback the way that he likes it.
Yeah.
Right? In a way that gets him feeling good and confident to where he doesn't even have to think about it.
Now, who can get there the quickest is the thing, right? Because I don't think it's a conversation of these guys aren't capable of doing it. Again, I don't think they'd be at Arizona State in the positions that they're currently in if Kenny and Marcus and Saga didn't think that they were capable of actually getting to that point. But it is a conversation of, hey, we've got 18 days till kickoff. Who gets the snap to Sam the way he likes it the quickest, right? And I think in the conversation as it relates to Ben, well, you've had all this time and we're still working on it. Not to say that he won't be the day one starting center, but Kenny said it yesterday. They're going to roll out the best 5 out there. Now, Ben Coleman will be a part of that best 5. It's just a conversation of, is he at left guard? Is he at center? And when it comes to Wade Helton again, like this is somebody that Kenny Dillingham and Saga really, really wanted before he went to Iowa State. The Twins in general.
Yeah.
Goes to Iowa State, red shirts. Now you're at Arizona State. Hey, 17, 18, 19 days till kickoff. We're kind of thrusting you in this role as a redshirt freshman. Now, the situation is like, okay, well, if he doesn't get to that point, then our, of course, next option has to be Ben, which I don't think that's a bad option.
As a backup option, like, again, he might be your starter, but as a backup option, you could do a lot worse than an all-conference guard.
100%.
Who, again, it's like he's not just being thrown in the fire, right?
The best option, though, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to make sure I get this in here. I think the best option here is that Wade Helton starts at center for Arizona State. You get your all-conference left guard at a position that he feels comfortable in, shores up that left side of the offensive line. That's the exact same unit that you had last year with Josh Atkins at tackle, Ben Coleman at left guard. Wade Helton at center can grow this entire season at that center spot. And guess what? As a redshirt freshman going as a redshirt sophomore next season, you've got your day one starting center on the offensive line, seemingly for at least the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, and I think that this would be less of a storyline if there were more holes on this team.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the first sign of blood, kind of a little bit, where you're like, oh, there's something going on.
They're not indestructible.
No, and again, it could end up being not a big deal. They made an offensive line change during the week leading up to the first game last year, right? So it is what it is. We have to see it in game. I'm not going to overreact until game, but something to monitor. A couple more things in the offense here before we take a break, and then we go to the defense.
Yeah,
it is lazy to just say, well, losing Cam Skattebo. Okay. Now that being said, we believe in the three-headed running back monster of Kanye Udo, Kyson Brown, and Raleek Brown. None of them are Cam Skattebo. While it's lazy to use that as a take to bring down this team as a whole, from an offensive perspective, when you lose somebody who was a top 5 Heisman candidate last year, right, who did everything for you in big games, big moments, was a leader for you as well, it is a question to say, are you able to replicate not just the numbers that Cam Skattebo replicated collectively through 3 guys, but the impact? How big of a question or a problem do you see a lack of an individual player like that on this offense?
I think 2 things that you bring up that you can kind of break down here. First and foremost, the impact. Right? Cam Skattebo was a part of this team during that 3-9 year when they were just really bad, right? But Cam Skattebo was still doing everything for this offense, for this team, but nobody was taking notice because this team won 3 football games that year. Going into last year, he was the vocal leader on this team, right? How many videos have we seen of halftime or practice stuff? And it's scat, scat, scat all the time. He's had a massive impact on this program, on this team, on this culture. Again, the single greatest running back season we've ever seen at Arizona State. Now he's in the NFL. I don't think you need a guy to have that level impact this season, because this is not a team where it is like, oh, you've got this guy, this guy, this guy. I think you point at just about every position group, which we have, and we're like, they're loaded here. They got a star here. They're deep here. They're talented there, right? Like, this is going to be a collective team as opposed to just having an individual superstar where it's like, hey, 2 minutes left. We're just going to give it to our best guy and see what happens. I think the other side of it is the production point of it, which is obviously a huge point of conversation, right? This is somebody that rushed for 1,711 yards last year, had a total of 24 total touchdowns, 21 on the ground, and 3 receiving touchdowns and 605 receiving yards. So do you have over 2,300 all-purpose yards and 24 touchdowns between Kyson Brown, Kanye Udo, and Raleek Brown? Even splitting up between those 3 guys, that's a lot to ask. You're asking for 800 yards each, all purpose, and 8 touchdowns each. Do we think that they're each talented enough to do that? Yes, but I don't know how much they are going to be asked to do that this year because of the conversation that we had earlier of like, we expect Sam Leavitt to make that jump. Right. The wide receiver room's deeper, the tight end room's deeper. So overall, I think this is just going to be a more spread out offense, which is why I don't think the Cam Skattebo narrative is something that like we need to discuss, but I understand why national media outlets are talking about it.
And for us right now, and we obviously have not harped on that point at all. Like we talked about the end of the season, and like that's it, right? But you can't do a show about what could we look back on this season and say, well, damn, that's why Arizona State didn't reach their potential, and saying, hey, losing Cam Skattebo is part of it, right? But to kind of play off of that, because I believe in the three-headed running back monster, and there's a chance that any one of them actually takes that crown as true RB1, and the other guys are still used, but like maybe it's Kanye, maybe it's Tyson, maybe it's Raleek, right? Also, there's a chance that makes ASU more dangerous. I know that's a weird thing to say with Cam Skattebo, but when you have a bunch of different guys who could do different things in there at different times, it's going to be harder for defenses to scheme, right? Like when Cam Skattebo was in the game, you know where the ball was going like 80% of the time? Cam Skattebo, right?
Well, yeah, this year it's like we're not looking to the backfield. That's not the first read of the defense, right?
No, it's not. And I think that leads me to the final thing about what could hold back Arizona State's offense. By the way, I'm not bringing up we're not going to talk about injuries, right? Because duh, like that's football, right? That's not like a legitimate conversation to have. On Baylor, if Sawyer Robertson gets injured, they're screwed, right? Like we all know that. Who cares? So as far as beyond Jordyn Tyson, who we feel like maybe even more than Sam Leavitt, probably like the most sure thing on this team, it feels like, at least to me.
I think he's the most sure thing outside of the defense.
I'm like as an individual player, I think he's the most sure thing. What about around Jordyn Tyson? There's a lot of movement there, right? Mm-hmm. What if Jalen Moss, Jaron Hamilton, a year of actually having Malik McClain out there, Kamari Anderson, AJ Ia, what if they aren't all that we expect them to be? Right? What if the defense can just focus on Jordyn Tyson? Is there any level of concern on the depth beyond Tyson for you? Or is this just like the least kind of impactful one that I've brought up so far?
Well, this is the least likely for me. I don't know if it's least impactful, because I think if it was, a serious issue, then it would certainly have an impact because everyone's just putting all their attention on Sam and Jordyn. But I think this is the least likely situation. Again, going to all these practices and watching these guys, like outside of that day 2 bad fall camp practice, there hasn't been a bad day of camp for this team. Dilly said what he needed to say, and everybody has really responded really, really well to that. Because you look, let's remove Jordyn Tyson from this point of conversation. You have a second team all-conference tight end and Shimon Mateer coming back. You have a guy in Kamari Anderson who played football in the SEC. Yes, his numbers weren't crazy, but I've been gung-ho that there hasn't been somebody offensively, I don't think, to have a better fall camp than Kamari Anderson. Now, Jaron Hamilton has had his moments, right, which is, I feel like, the natural next point of conversation. Somebody that could take the top off every single practice. This guy is doing just ridiculous things. He did it again today, catching a touchdown in team period at the end of practice. A bomb, right? Jalen Moss, I tweeted it out. Like, yes, he's had a lot of success at Fresno State. Now he's playing with one of the best, in theory, quarterbacks in college football. 10 touchdowns over his last 2 seasons.
And next to other offensive weapons and talent that he never even sniffed at
You've
Fresno
got those
State.
guys. We see what AJ is just from a raw potential, right? The size, the speed, the hands, it's all there. Malik McClain, former Penn State guy, another year in this system, the same way we talk about Jordyn Tyson and Sam Leavitt.
You don't got to sell me on Malik McClain.
Help, right? That's 100% going to help. And then you get into all the other wide receivers that nobody talks about, right? Noble Johnson, Derek Xavion, Zechariah Sample. So, we would be sitting here saying that
all of them. And that's why it makes it the least likely, is because it takes the most amount of people. Plus, again, somebody's always going to step up and somebody might disappoint, but I think it's always going to be balanced. Okay. That's the offense.
That's the offense.
We're feeling good, right? Not as depressing as you would think. It's just talking points, right?
Yeah.
What about the defense? We all think this defense is going to be dominant, but what could get in their way of succeeding? We're going to talk about it right after our first break.
If you guys have been in Phoenix long enough, well, you know that we've seen it all when it comes to the biggest sporting events. Of course, a Big 12 championship, a World Series, all of the things. But if you've never experienced NASCAR Championship weekend at Phoenix Raceway, well, you have certainly missed out. This is a sport you have to experience in person. Nothing can match the smell of burnt rubber and fuel in the air, the sound of the cars roaring by at almost 200 miles per hour, and witnessing 4 champions crowned in 3 days. It is pure electricity. And NASCAR fans, well, they get the best access in sports with a small ticket upgrade. You're in the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience, up close in the garage, meeting drivers, walking the track, catching the pre-race concert. It's the best value in sports, hands down. Don't miss your chance to witness NASCAR Championship Weekend in person. Coming to Phoenix Raceway October 31st through November 2nd. Tickets for Sunday's Cup Series Championship race sell out every year, so move fast to get yours now before they're gone. And here's the kicker: NASCAR's taking Championship Weekend on the road starting in 2026, so this is your last chance to catch it in Phoenix for a while. Tickets, hospitality, and upgrades are all still available. Get yours now at the link in our show notes.
Couple things about a guy like me, okay? I like to stay cool.
You do.
I like to be in the air conditioning, and I like to
save money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minimize my spending, maximize my comfort. That's what I want, and that's what I get with APS. Not just with the time of use plan which I have, but also my smart thermostat, which works hand in hand. It's like the Leavitt and Tyson of saving me money and keeping me comfortable, because I can use my smartphone or any device to automatically adjust the thermostat to take advantage of lower cost off-peak hours. And remember, nearly half of your energy costs come from cooling and heating. A smart thermostat helps you with that. APS customers may be eligible for smart thermostats for as low as $0 when you enroll in APS Cool Rewards program. Plus, if you already have a smart thermostat at home like we do, see if it's eligible to enroll in Cool Rewards. We do. Plus, a free install is available on our link in our video description. Plus, you have to be an APS customer, pay shipping and taxes. Other restrictions apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for more information.
Do it. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Also, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast.
And you know what? This is Erik's classic reverse psychology episode.
Really?
Because all the comments have just been like, we're great.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be awesome. Right. And I think it's fine, because it's like, you got to ask yourself these questions.
And Erik's over here in a corner, thumb in his mouth, just rocking.
No, I'm not.
What if the center position's not as good as we think?
We're gonna get to our like overall season predictions, and trust me, you will understand that I'm not feeling that way. 12-0. Anyway, I think there are a couple of things with this defense, and I'll do a disclaimer for this defense the same way that I did for the overall team.
Okay.
I think this is going to be the best defense of the Big 12.
Yeah.
I think this defense is going to be nasty, and I think despite having the top-end talent that ASU's offense has, I think this defense is going to be the best overall unit that touches the field for this team. But it's going to be a competition every game. That being said, even good teams have question marks, and I think there are a couple on here that we need to answer. We will get to the pass rush in a second. I think that is probably the most blatantly obvious hole that needed to be fixed from last year.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think if you're going to start with the defense, you need to start with the one position that does not have a returning starter, and that is your starting nickel. Now, we know that Montana Warren and Breedlove are two guys that have been rotating in and out and getting first team snaps, and two guys that I think we both feel relatively comfortable with. Obviously, Breedlove transferring over from Purdue, one of their most efficient defensive players last year. Montana Warren been in the Arizona State system for 3 years now. At this point, we are old. But when you lose a Shamari, when you lose an impactful starter and your only starter in the defense, the question has to be, are you going to get good enough play from that individual position that we saw against Texas? What a change in position, and granted, completely different situation, not as much time to prep, all that. But we saw what having Shamari out did in the first half and what bringing him back did in the second, right? Is that your number one concern for this, or do you think it is something that we're going to be talking about here in a second, acknowledging that we both think this is going to be an elite defense?
I don't think anyone's going to talk about the secondary in a negative light in 2025, regardless of we're filling the Shamari Simmons, role here. Both Montana and Breedlove have had solid camps. I think the more I watch practice, the more I think Kendrick Breedlove is going to be your day one starter at the nickel corner spot. But they were doing some weird things out there today. Like, normally this is a team that runs a 4-2-5, right?
Were they being freaky?
Well,
They were running on their hands.
Brian Ward was being a little freaky with some of the rotations he was sending out there. There was a defense today where it was 4 down linemen and 1 linebacker, and then you had 6 DBs out there. You had, I'm trying to think of the safeties. They had, I want to say, Montana out there, Breedlove out there, Ghost out there, Xavion out there, Keith out there, and Alford were all out there all at once, with Alford playing a little bit more of a hybrid linebacker DB role. which I think probably fits him the best given, his familiarity with college football, just the defense as a whole. But this secondary is so full of just talented guys.
Agreed.
That I don't think the secondary is going to be an issue whatsoever, whether it's Breedlove, whether it's Montana, whether it's something that we haven't even seen yet, right? This is going to be a secondary that does just fine. You've got so many returning guys, returning pieces, and guys even in the 2 deep in terms of rotating in at secondary, right? Chris Johnson Jr., Boogie Wilson, this secondary is going to be fine. This is maybe the least of my concerns when we talk about this defense.
We've talked so much about the depth of it, running a dime like that, because nobody runs base dime ever in college football. But
you got so many guys that are capable of doing it.
Yeah, and the linebacker position's good and deep too. But I put one of those on the edge and another person at the middle backer position. Things get weird.
Well,
Things
I think
get
sending
freaky.
some of these DBs on blitzes, especially those 2 safeties that you have in Miles.
Oh my God!
X.
Dude, they're gonna
and
kill,
Montana.
Huh?
Montana could kill someone too.
Yeah,
They're gonna kill Shamari Spear against that poor Texas State kid. That's gonna happen against NAU.
Miles Rouser's gonna take someone's leg off.
They're gonna have to chain Miles Rouser up pregame because he's gonna try to start tackling the NAU guys warming up.
Bunch of dogs.
That guy wants to play football. I like Seth Jones in the chat says, can't wait to watch Ghost and the boys fly around. Call the secondary the cemetery where receivers go to die.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fire.
That is fire.
I agree. And I would agree with whoever is starting, whether it's Breedlove or Montana, and the fact that those guys are going to cycle in the same way that Montana cycled in a little bit last year as well. But I do think that it's okay, let's talk about the one position that you're not returning a starter. Okay, let's go to the biggest storyline, right? Which is something that even players on this defensive line have acknowledged, when we talked to Clayton Smith at Big 12 Media Day, as far as what can this defense improve on with all these players returning? And when it comes to the defensive line, they needed to not just get to the quarterback better, they needed to bring the quarterback
Put him in the dirt.
down.
Yeah.
Okay? If the pass rush doesn't improve, let's just say it stays the same.
Yeah.
Effective, but not game-breaking, right? Where does that put the ceiling for this Arizona State defense in comparison to where we think and believe that a combination of Prince Dorba, Fight, Clayton Smith, Jacob Kingaika and company are going to do that? But what if they don't?
Well, it's the same thing that we talked about with Sam, right? Let's say Sam Leavitt doesn't get better. Well, then he still took them to the Big 12 championship and whooped Iowa State's ass, right? So what happens if this defense doesn't improve their pass rush? Well, they whooped Iowa State's ass in the Big 12 championship.
Say that again.
Held Texas, a team that was dominant on running the football all year long, to less than 100 total rushing yards in that game? I think way less than that, in all honesty. This is a defense that, yes, has something that it can improve on to go from great to elite, right? That's the conversation here is, can a top 3 defense in the conference from a year ago, can they improve on the one thing to go from 3rd or 4th best to the best in this conference? If they don't, then I still think this defense is good enough to get you 10 wins and good enough to play in the Big 12 championship game.
Right, but then we have these conversations that we've had, right, where it's, what's the standard for this year?
Yeah.
Right? We talk about the potential of this unit being a top 10 defense, not just in the Big 12, in college football, right? In the country. This is a top 11 team as of right now, before a game has even been played in the country, right? So, and that's maybe the biggest disclaimer I should have put in all of this. This is what stops Arizona State from being elite,
from reaching its full potential,
winning a game in the college football playoffs, competing for a national championship, which should be on the table for anybody near the top 10 at the beginning of the season. Okay, whether it's likely or not, whether you're going to bet on it over an Ohio State, over a Georgia, or whoever, probably not. But again,
it's there
in contention, right? To at least win one. That's the difference, right? What you say for this defense. Is it good enough? It's the same thing with Sam. Are you good enough? Yeah, I think your baseline is good enough. I think your floor is good enough to be a dangerous team week in, week out, maybe win double-digit games, compete for the Big 12 championship. Hell, you're good enough, you might just win it, right? You've got the pedigree for it at this time. You have the coaching staff, whatever. But are you a college football playoff team that is in and is a double-digit underdog in game one? Or are you a favorite?
Yeah.
Or are you getting a bye, right? Like, these are things where it's like, if this pass rush does do that, you know, like, that is what elevates them. And I think when you look individually, when you look at like a CJ Fight or a Clayton Smith, and when you talk to them and you understand that, like, they get that, right? They understand that they need to do their job in that sense better, right? And that to me is like, that goes to coaching staff and players. And that's why fundamentally, when you look at some of these things about improving, you're like, will they, won't they? You know, the strength and conditioning staff has them working on that. The coaches have spent an entire offseason working on that. The players feel like they have unfinished business despite completely shocking the Big 12 last year, which is such a weird and dangerous combination, right? It's certainly a problem if it doesn't happen, if they don't improve or if they regress, which again, we don't expect, but the same thing with Sam.
That's the conversation, right? Is
anybody regressing is going to be a problem.
I think, again, this is a team that people didn't really know about last year until they put up against Kansas State, right? I think there was a lot of people excited. Oh, they beat Utah. Look what Kenny did in his post-game celebration with fans, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody really cared about this team nationally until they beat Kansas State. And then they had BYU.
I would honestly say BYU.
Maybe Kansas, right? With the way that they won that football game. But nobody was talking about them in that like natural conversation of like, hey, this is what they're doing. Yeah, we were sitting here watching. Than expected. We were sitting here watching every game, saying these things, saying like, wow, this defense looks really good. Hey, Jordyn Tyson looks special. Shimon Mateer is doing really amazing things. This team, you know, for a while it was like, okay, well, they're going to run into a wall. They're going to run into a wall, right? Oh, Kansas is going to beat them. The injury bug's going to hit. Sam can't do this. Cam can't keep doing this. And every single time that we think or thought that they would hit a roadblock, they knocked it right down, right? Yeah. Effortlessly. So when we're having this conversation of, oh, they can't reach their full potential, there does need to be the like, okay, even if they don't improve, right? If they don't improve from where they were a year ago, well, this team finished the season as the number 7 team in the country.
Right, taking Texas to overtime.
Double overtime. So if they don't improve, then we're still, I think, talking about a top 15 team in the country that has the potential to win every game on their schedule by 10-plus points and be in the Big 12 championship game. Now, if they do regress, how much of that is going to be a real issue? Because is it like, oh, Sam regresses, the defense regresses, Jordyn regresses? Does it all happen? Are we talking individually one of these things happen? I think when it comes specifically to the pass rush, this was by far and away, I think, the big glaring hole for ASU in 2024 is they could get there, but they struggled to bring quarterbacks down. And we know how much a improved pass rush can help your secondary, right? Creating turnovers, making sure that these offenses don't have rhythm. I think when we talk about ASU's pass rush improving, which it will need to do, because I don't think being stagnant at, you know, such a key focal point in the game in 2025, you know, I think they need to improve simply because, like we started this show off talking about, this is, in theory, an improved conference when it comes to quarterback
right
play.
And the last thing, because there's one more thing I'm going to talk about the defense. We'll talk another overarching thing, but you know, part of the reason why they might not have been able to bring the quarterback down as much is because the majority of the people they were playing were turning and handing the ball off.
Yeah,
right. The ball's going to be in the quarterback's hands for longer this year on average when you play against these guys.
Also really athletic quarterbacks in this
right,
conference.
But it's also going to be that much more imperative that you help your secondary out because you're not going to be able to focus on the run as much. Like, you're going to have to stay honest to these receivers, and you're not going to be like, Rocco Beck doesn't have 2,000-yard receivers anymore, but like, you in theory expect Rocco Beck to improve, right, for his age. Sawyer Robinson, you expect to improve. Avery Johnson, you definitely expect to improve off of last season. Like, you look at a lot of these quarterbacks, not only are like, hey, you're already good, but hey, you have like the pathway to get better, right? And Arizona State needs to make them uncomfortable. There's one or two more things I want to talk about with this defense and something overarching as a whole, but we'll do that right after our last break. We're talking a lot about ceilings and floors, and make sure you get your floors over at Empire today. But their ceiling, well, they just don't have one, because it's not just saving you money. It's not just bringing you convenience, but it's making sure all of that is bundled in with the right choice. Listen, we all make big decisions in life. Don't mess up. Don't mess up. I know people.
Don't screw this up.
I know people who have chosen to remodel and they have not liked how it has looked. And that
Costs
is
a
not
lot
something
of money.
You can't just snap your fingers and change that unless
No.
you got Bezos money. And I know that most of us, all of us, don't have Bezos money. That's why with Empire today, they're going to pick the right housing and the right colors in your space with your furniture in your house with a free in-home estimate. And guess what? Clear, upfront, all-inclusive pricing and get installation as soon as the next day. It's cheaper, it's easier, it's more convenient, and they're going to get it done right. Schedule that free in-home estimate today, and PHNX listeners can receive a $350 off discount when using promo code PHNX. That's right, $350 off when using code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHNX for full details.
Look, the majority of our partners here at PHNX and really across all city, they try and help you save money every single day. So you're going to need a place to put all that extra money. And what better place than Mountain America Credit Union? Because everybody needs a checking account, and they've got accounts to help you guys with built-in benefits. Mountain America's My Style checking account has perks literally just for you. You can enjoy restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and more. So the next time we tell you about a PHNX partner that's helping putting money in your pocket, well, turn around, put it in your checking account at Mountain America Credit Union. Make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Make sure you visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUA. Membership required. Based on eligibility, some benefits require no cost registration/activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Hit the like button.
Do it.
Do it right now.
Right now.
Right now.
We're not going to talk to hit the like button.
Appreciate everybody
What the heck, dude?
hopping in today. Well, you said you're not going to talk.
I said we.
Well,
Gosh.
you don't control me.
We got a line we got to work on
You
before
don't
the
control.
season starts.
Are we regressing? Is that a point of conversation? Have
Breaking
we regressed
news.
as a show?
PHNX Sun Devils regressing.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
We'll
I
have to get back to
I
the
hope
drawing
that's
board.
not the case.
I'm putting out a notes app statement. These Venmo transactions.
Yeah. You and the Venmo transaction.
It's just really funny.
Yeah.
I'm a big John Mateer guy too, so it's like you know,
We
tough-
both are. We're both. I'm
tough day
a
for
big
me.
Oklahoma guy this year. I think
Shane
Oklahoma's
is
gonna
not
have a good year.
Not a Mateer guy.
No, it's
Shane
not.
hates all the
No,
teams
no,
that
no,
we
no,
think
no,
are
no.
going to be
You like
good.
Mateer?
No,
more.
absolutely not. I do not hate all the time. We agree on a lot of stuff. The
South Carolina.
Texas Tech.
I don't think Texas Tech's going to be that good.
Okay. The reason why I was shaking my head is because you're just like claiming being a Mateer guy when I know for a fact you guys didn't watch him at Washington State. I've watched more.
Didn't watch you for a fact. We didn't watch him at Washington State.
No. Yeah. Like
We didn't watch him maybe the way you watched
Yes,
him.
but that's what I'm saying.
But I can still be a Mateer guy.
I know.
I'm not
The-
watching it like you.
Here's my comparison. It's like I've been listening to this band for 20 years, and then you find them out because they had a hit, and then you claim that you're the biggest fan, and I'm like, come on.
Did
Well,
I say
I'm
I'm
not
the
claiming
biggest
I'm the
John
biggest
Mateer
fan.
fan of the planet?
You said you're
I'm a big John Mateer guy.
Yeah.
I
a big
believe
John
him as a
Mateer
core-
guy.
Yeah.
I'm also a big John Mateer guy.
I'm just saying. I'm explaining why I
What's
was.
going on?
I'm
James?
expl-
There's no need.
Shane's just
No, I'm explaining.
hanging it out, letting everybody know that he's a bigger John Mateer guy.
No,
That's
I'm just.
fine. You can have it.
I'm explaining why I was shaking my head. I'm not saying you can or can't do anything. All I was doing was giving you an explanation. So I don't know why.
I think he's gaslighting you.
He got up in
Me?
arms like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you.
Sure.
Gaslighter.
Mr. Gaslight.
Mr. Gaslight?
Mr. Gaslight.
Yeah.
Mr. Gaslight, aka the stupidest guy alive.
Was it the stupid or the dumbest?
I feel like I mess it up every time.
What's meaner, to be called the stupidest guy alive or the dumbest guy alive?
Stupidest is funnier. Dumbest is the real.
Really, I think dumb is more funny.
Dumbest feels more like a joke. Stupidest feels like okay, like this actually means something.
Yeah.
Like stupidest has more weight. Dumb is like, oh, you dummy. It's like, oh, you stupid idiot. Like those things, like
Well,
they got.
Well,
a
you
little
threw
different
idiot
venom.
in there at the end. You know what I mean?
Like, you're so stupid.
If somebody calls
Like,
me
oh,
an
you're so
idiot,
dumb.
an idiot hurts more than
Like-
stupid or dumb.
Like if I'm like, oh, you're so dumb. Or if I'm like, oh, you're so stupid. It's like I think stupid. Hits
yeah,
a
but I
little
think
harder.
none of them hit as hard as calling someone an idiot.
Fire word alert. Stupid.
Stupid, you think?
What a great.
Is there a
word.
better? Is that 5 letters, 6 letters?
Stupid. Dumb.
Off the top of my head,
That's stupid. Stupid, dumb, like idiot. Like, I
Idiot
mean,
by
these
far
are these
the
are
worst.
great words.
by far the worst. By far the worst to be called an idiot.
Yeah, and then they're. I mean, I don't want to really be called either of them. but they're all my nicknames. The stupidest, dumbest idiot alive.
You keep them alive, man. It's all a you thing, man.
Okay. Anyway, we talk a lot about how there's some very good top end talent on this team.
Yes.
Right. And
some of the best in the country.
Agreed. Some NFL prospects, whatnot. We talked about it on offense. So what about Sam? What about Jordyn? Now, I think we've talked about it on a macro scale, but what about a micro scale? There are guys like Xavion Alford, who wants to be and plans to be and will work to be an All-American this year. CJ Fight, who I believe's draft stock could skyrocket. Keith Abney, who's even getting some draft love. And I know that you've been a Keith Abney guy you've been a fan of that band for about 20 years. What if, and again, this is not
Totri and I went to their first show ever, actually.
Yeah. I'm a big Keith Abney.
We were the managers of the first show.
You bought merch and everything.
Yeah. We made the merch.
And then the opener transferred to UNLV.
Yeah. What if
Ashley Williams, man.
What if they...
I was saying Josiah Cox, too.
Yeah.
When he went to somewhere else. Anyway, sorry.
I love our guys. What if they don't elevate themselves to be like, okay, wow, like they're rising up.
See, we
right?
keep using the word.
And I get
elevate.
what you're saying, right? Like if they don't improve, like the natural progression is, okay, these guys are true juniors now or redshirt juniors now. Like, you expect them to get better.
You do, but this is my question to you, right? Because all the guys that we're talking about, at least a good chunk of this defense is not just returning for a third year, or not just returning for a second year, they're returning for a third year.
Agreed,
right?
yeah.
Keith Abney's been here a while. CJ Fight has been here a while. You look at an Elijah O'Neal, he's been here a while. Most of this defense, Xavion Alford, has been here a good chunk of time at this point. So when we talk about this defense, specifically the secondary and some of these other pieces and the defense as a whole, like, okay, what if they don't take the next step? Right, in a conference now that does have elite level quarterback talent, right? Sawyer Robertson, Rocco Beck, David Johnson. We did the thing before. Well, I think part of this has to go back to, okay, why was this defense so capable last year? Why were they so good a year ago? And I think it honestly all goes back to when some of these guys first arrived on campus for Dilly's first year in that Pac-12. And we've talked about it before on the show. That was an elite Pac-12. Especially at quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So why was Keith Abney, CJ Fight, Xavion Alford, some of these other guys, Elijah O'Neal, so good last year in a conference where it was mainly the running backs, but they were able to be clutch when it mattered most against passing teams, right? Against a Kansas State, against a BYU,
Iowa State,
against an Iowa State.
Yeah.
Well, that first year when this team was just taking it on the chin every single week, they played the Chicago Bears starting quarterback in Caleb Williams. They played the Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. They played the Denver Broncos starting quarterback in Bo Nix, right? All guys who have an upward, in theory, trajectory at the next level.
It's insane that's the last year of that conference.
So there is no, like, for me, do I think that this is an elite level quarterback conference? Yes. Do I think that there's a Caleb Williams, Michael Penix Jr., and Bo Nix playing in the Big 12 outside of Arizona State's quarterback room? No. I don't think there's a guy in that conversation in this conference not named Sam Leavitt. So even if this secondary, this defense as a whole, don't take their game to the next level, then I think that's fine, because last year they handled these quarterbacks, right? I don't think you can point to a game where ASU lost, and again, they lost 3 games. You lost the Texas game, you lost the Cincinnati game, and you lost the Texas Tech game. Am I pointing to any single one of those games saying that, oh, they lost it because the defense was just atrocious, right? The defense just was outmanned, outgunned, out-talented. No, I don't think that was the case, even in the Texas game where they lost by double overtime. So I think if this defense stays put, if they stay fine, and they don't take a step up, I think they're fine, because I don't think overall, I don't think the peak of this conference is what this defense had to face when they were freshmen in the mud going against NFL caliber quarterbacks week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, learning lessons from that is extremely important, right?
As a true freshman?
And again, like these, and I think I keep on coming off in the wrong way, where it's like I don't believe that these things are going to happen.
I'm not saying that.
No,
I know.
It's like
there's a reason why when we had this point of conversation as a show, I was like, you know what, Erik, you lead this.
Which is fine. I'll take it on the chin, man. I don't care, because I think that it's important to have a conversation from this perspective. And there's one final thing that we need to unpack here. And I take it from the Texas State game last year.
Okay.
What was one of the bigger factors as to why Texas State was such a tough opponent for Arizona State to beat last year?
Because it was their Super Bowl.
The tortillas.
That's Texas Tech.
That's Texas Tech.
Oh, I thought you said Texas Tech. Sorry.
Mr. Tortilla guy over here.
Texas State.
Come on, real quick. Who doesn't love tortillas?
I love tortillas.
Tortillas are awesome.
I mean,
it's in college football 26.
It is in college
football. It looks silly.
Yeah.
But what you said was right.
Yeah.
Sorry, what you said was not right.
No,
Shane.
it was very wrong.
But what you said was right. It was Texas State's Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
This season, every single team that Arizona State plays, it is going to be their Super Bowl because they are the defending Big 12 champions. They are a borderline top 10 team in the country. And you imagine by the time that, they're playing Baylor, they might be in that top 10, right? By the time they're playing Texas Tech, that might be College game day, right? When they're playing Iowa State and Colorado on the road, this might be a top 7, top 6, top 5 team in the country.
Yeah.
Every single week in, week out, you are going to get your opponent's best, and they are going to rise to the occasion. It might not work out for them, but that is their Super Bowl, point blank, period. And that is something that is different than what Arizona State had to go through last year.
Yes. I want to be completely honest. I think that's a lousy narrative. And I don't think that's just a you thing. I think
you're gonna make me cry, man.
I think, well, no.
You stupidest, dumbest person alive, idiot. No,
I think this is a narrative that people on the exterior talk about, where it's like, oh, this is, every team has got Arizona State circled on their calendar. And I think it was Jalen Hurts who actually had a really good quote about the upcoming season and all that stuff, right? As defending legit defending Super Bowl champs. And he's like, this isn't fighting, right? This isn't UFC. This isn't boxing. We're not defending champs, right? We won the championship last year. This is a completely new team. We're all 0-0. Everybody in this conference, everybody in college football, 0-0 to go out this year. Right. So I think media, I think fans, and maybe an occasional player, because they have, there's, this school recruited them, or they've got a former teammate on the roster. Those are the circumstances, or the people that talk about this is we're going to get their best. And then what? Then they're going to go the following week and not give their best to the next team, right? Every single week you are going to get somebody's best, and vice versa, right? That's always the conversation where it's like, oh, ASU is always going to get Baylor's best, or they're going to get Iowa State's best. They're going to get Colorado's best. Insinuating that Arizona State is not going to do the exact same thing on the other side of it.
And they should. And that's how great teams are great. But at the
Sharon says, nah, we are defending champs.
At the same time, it's sports. And we've seen in sports that sometimes worse teams play a little bit more out of their minds, a little bit more out of their bodies because of whatever moment or opportunity. I was at a game, to bring it back to basketball, Suns basketball specifically, where the worst Suns team of all time beat the dominant Golden State Warriors in one of their few losses in their 73-9 season. Okay, this is Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, right? The Suns played out of their minds that night. They sucked. They're a terrible team. God awful. And they beat the best team, if not of all time, at least in that decade, right? Texas State was kind of crap after the ASU game last year. I thought they were going to be pretty decent. They weren't.
Yeah.
And against way worse competition, right? But Arizona State had to claw their way back and win that game. Well, everybody will be giving it their best, and ASU will be giving it their best, and I believe ASU's best is better than anybody's best in this conference. There will be no sleeping on ASU. There will be no catching people by surprise like they did at times last year. And does that matter? Probably not, but it's still not going to happen. So that's it. That's the list, okay? Out of all of the hall monitor citations that I wrote today, which one do you feel like was the most, not to say worthy, but like the one with the most weight to it.
I think it's what we said when we were talking about it, and that was the center stuff, right? The snapping and making sure that when you go out there for that first couple games of the season, that your quarterback is getting literally the most important thing, and that is the ball the way that they like it, right? The only person that is going to touch the ball in 2025 as much as Sam Leavitt will is going to be whoever starts at center for Arizona State. Right. So whether that be Wade Helton or Ben Coleman or somebody yet to be named, then I think that is easily I'm not going to say the only one, but out of all of the points today of like, oh, how could Arizona State potentially not reach its ceiling in 2025? It starts there with whoever is going to touch the football as much as Sam Leavitt. But I think we have at least temporarily tried to calm down Chicken Little, also known as the hall monitor.
I'm fine. These are just talking points.
It's.
I'm fine.
We're good. You're fine. I mean, you don't sound fine, man. You keep saying I'm fine. There we go.
Fine.
Guys, that is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devil Show. If you enjoyed today's content, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow this guy right here, the hall monitor.
The dumbest, stupidest idiot ever.
At Erik Ruby. That's Erik with a K. You can follow the Deli Man at Shane Dief.
Getting Texas schools confused as always because that's the worst state ever.
And we will see you guys on Wednesday. In the meantime, go Devils and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.